The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Thank you again for joining us here in the Stone Zone. Roger is still out, and he should be back soon. My name is Ken Matthews. It's just really been so much fun having the opportunity and the privilege to talk to his audience all week, so thank you for that. Anyway, let's get started. It's 800-848-9222. Thursday, November 20th. Some good news happening in Washington, which is rare. But, well, let's start with something that I was happy to see this. And feel free to weigh in, 800-848-9222. Trump's doing some things with energy that I'm very excited about. Obviously, there are some things happening in Congress there's some entertaining things. There's that big investigation that I'm very excited about down in Florida. The Congresswoman Sheila McCormick charged with stealing $5 million in COVID aid funds. Wow. She could get up to 53 years in prison. Yeah. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know. I used to live in Fort Lauderdale many years ago. I mean, I was just a lad, a small lad at the time. But so that's kind of happening. So there's some progress there. We still haven't gotten a clean read on the Epstein files. I don't think that'll happen until early next week. We'll kind of see what's happening there. But I did want to point out the fact that everybody's trying to get, and this is a game that certain groups and organizations, sometimes political parties or entities, like to play. And it's called, if you associate with someone that we don't like, you're in trouble. So this is how that's going. And I'm talking about Nick Fuentes being on Tucker Carlson's show, which I saw the interview. I'm a fan of Tucker, and I do watch Nick. And this is what CBS had to say about it when President Donald Trump did not take the bait.
Some Republicans, including one-time ally Marjorie Taylor Greene, over the Epstein files. He has also weighed in gently on another Republican feud, whether it was wrong or in any way inappropriate or politically tone-deaf for Tucker Carlson to interview white nationalist Nick Fuentes. Here was the president on that topic.
We've had some great interviews with Tucker Carlson, but you can't tell him who to interview. I mean, if he wants to interview Nick Fuentes, I don't know much about him, but if he wants to do it, get the word out. Let him, people have to decide. Ultimately, people have to decide.
Decide what? Those words certainly caught Fuentes' attentions. He went to social media, and said thank you to the president.
I was watching Nick the other night, and he was very happy to see that the president didn't get in line with so many other Republicans. So many are unclear on what they're even talking about often and just attack because they were told to attack. I am a big fan of free speech. I am a purist when it comes to free speech. You hear a lot of people say they're a constitutionalist and they're a purist when they come to the Constitution, and this is what the founding fathers would want. It's the First and Second Amendment are the most abused, in my opinion, and then followed by the Fourth, the Fifth, and the 10th in that order. That's just my opinion as a novice. But First and Second have always been abused, and they're very selectively abused. I mean, every month we lose more Second Amendment rights. We have a right, and it shall not be infringed, to bear arms, but every month there's something new. There's a new registration scheme. There's a new ID process. There's a new list. There's a new limit on how many bullets I can have in my magazine or how long the barrel can be or, and it's the same with the First Amendment too. Oh, you can speak freely. You just can't say this. Well, why not? You say that. Well, this is different. No, it's not. It's not. As long as you or I am not breaking the law with our speech, which is very difficult to do, and that's why they keep making up new rules and regulations and censorship, then it is considered free speech. So I just have to say, I was happy to see that, and it was funny because I forget the guy's name on CBS. I can't, it's so hard to keep track of some of those liars, on the different networks. So I wasn't sure which liar it was, but you could see how he was unsure how to cover the story because he said, well, that's all that Trump said, because people have reached out to President Trump just like they've reached out to J.D. Vance 2 nights ago. A bunch of donors and fundraisers reached out to J.D. Vance, and then they went on record and said, we're so disappointed that J.D. Vance has not denounced Tucker Carlson. Why? Why? Why would you denounce Tucker Carlson other than the fact that he has a guest that you don't like on? I could understand if you denounce a corrupt congressperson, or you denounce a pedophile, or you denounce someone who's embezzling money from Congress. But why in the hell are political people expected to denounce members of the media if other political people have a problem with the content of their opinion? You see where we're going with this, right? Okay, I just want to make sure you see, because I keep running into Republicans that don't understand it, and they're missing the boat, and we're coming up to the midterms, and there's people on the right and people on the left that are extremely aware of how our free speech is being limited. I cannot stand Whoopi Goldberg. I hate what comes out of her mouth most days, but she has the right to free speech. I don't like The View. I've never said it should be canceled in my life. I've never said anyone or anything should be canceled. Period. That's pure free speech. The best thing people could do, in my opinion, with the Tucker Carlsons or Nick Fuentes or any number of people that seem to have people in a panic, debate them. Debate them. You want to get ratings? You want to see ratings like you've never seen before in your life? Platform Tucker and fill in the blank. Put anybody you want against Tucker or Nick or any number of people. Everybody talks about Ben Shapiro, how he's a debating wizard. Put Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes on a stage. Can you imagine the ratings? Could you imagine the views? You would have global views. I bet you, I'm going to go out on the limb here. Watch out, the limb's getting thin. I bet you'd have more people watching Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes debate than watching the Super Bowl. What do you think? 800-848-9222. Now, don't call up and start putting words in my mouth, because I have no respect for that at all. I'm so tired of that. It's been going on for years. I've watched people do it to people in the media. I've watched people misquote people. They've misquoted my friends. I've watched people attack Jan Sixers and, you know, the people that challenge the election. I'm just tired of it. So no one can read minds. I am a free speech purist. And I don't know how many times we have to have this discussion as adults and say, this is the United States of America. It's not any other country. It's the United States of America. You will not take away my First or Second Amendment rights. You've stripped me of so many others in the financial world, the economic world, the property world. And most of us are in that category, believe it or not. We have people in this country that still walk around thinking our tax system is voluntary. What are you bitching about taxes for, Ken? It's voluntary. Are you serious? Stop it. Stop it. But what do you think? I think that would be a great debate. An awesome debate. So here's some good news. More good news, I would say. Trump is backing 3 Mile Island again. They're restarting 3 Mile Island. I live in Pennsylvania, It's a $1 billion loan to Constellation. Constellation Energy is renaming it. I think they're going to rename it. Oh, gosh. I wonder if a consultant charged them to come up with this name. Why don't we call it the Crane Clean Energy Center? I'm for it, though. Seriously? I got to tell you, Nuke Energy, it's among the cleanest. It is among the cleanest. We need more nuclear power plants and less solar farms. Solar farms take up too much space. And Nuke lasts forever, and it's clean. And most people don't even know that it's running some of the major pieces of equipment and apparatus in our Navy and elsewhere. So that's kind of exciting. Now, the down part of it is, and there's always a downside, this is the problem with doing complete research and not just taking the headline off of TikTok. The reason they're doing this is because, Microsoft is putting a huge AI data center in Pennsylvania, which I'm not thrilled about. Okay? I'm not thrilled about the giant data centers because they chew up a lot of land and they chew up a ton of energy. And several more states, I don't have the list in front of me, are suggesting a smart meter or some version of a smart meter in the states, in the areas around these data centers. There's now 5, I think 6 in total, states bringing in these AI data centers that are going to take a ton of energy. So how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to restart some nuke plants, which I agree with. And I also think that we should always look for alternatives, okay? But we need to drill, baby, drill. And that's something that President Trump promised, and he's delivering on that too, you see? Not everything's bad this week. He announced plans for new oil drilling off the coast of California and Florida. Yes! Yes! Yeah, I'm thrilled about that. That's why it's there. That's why it's there. You can have 1 or 2 oil rigs out there, or you can have hundreds of those ugly, obnoxious turbines, those giant fans that really don't work if it's not windy. It's kind of like the solar panels not working if it's not sunny. I think solar panels are great. I have a little solar panel pack on the back of my phone. So, to give you a great example, I was in New York a few months ago and my phone went dead. And I just put it out in the sun. It started charging. Yeah, and that's about it. This ridiculousness that solar panels are running entire companies and entire cities, that's mythology. Look deeper at what's really backing those plants up and what's really running those plants. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on where we are so far. 800-848-9222. My name's Ken Matthews. We're in the Stone Zone, and we'll be right back.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The number is 800-848-9222. My name is Ken Matthews, and for Roger again tonight in the Stone Zone. It's always a pleasure to be with Roger's audience on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Let's grab a call. I believe this is Roy in Florida. Roy, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Yes, this is Roy. Proud to be out in New York and be in Florida. One of the great things about capitalism is you can never end up with a guy like Mandani running a Fortune 500 company.
Isn't that amazing?
Putting that aside for a moment, I wanted to address this idea of magnifying the voices of extremists in America. The majority of Americans, unfortunately, are followers. They don't think for themselves. And the idea of taking the extremes and magnifying them because they're going to be good ratings is the mentality of TikTok. It's the mentality of Facebook. And we have a real challenge.
Well, no, the challenge is where the challenge is, and you bring up an interesting point. TikTok and Facebook are what people that are against free speech limit some of these opposing voices to. I'd like to see both. For example, I use Ben Shapiro and Nick as an example. That would be a wonderful debate and what a way to sharpen your own beliefs and get your message out. Why not have an unlimited debate? Yeah, I mean, it's real easy to speak for an hour and trash someone, but what if you spoke for 2 hours and you went back and forth respectfully and talked about what the issues are?
Friction is good because ultimately, if you believe in science and in the Bible, there was a big explosion. There's constant friction in the universe. But what we need to do is have a meaningful dialogue that used to happen 30 years ago in the Congress between the Republicans and Democrats, not between a racist neo-Nazi.
See, you haven't seen or heard enough of Nick because you call him a racist neo-Nazi. And how do you know he's a racist neo-Nazi?
By the ideas that he expresses.
When have you heard his ideas?
You know, I haven't listened to enough of him, to be honest.
Well, there you go. And I respectfully, thank you for calling. I appreciate your call. But that's the issue. So if he's really a racist and a Nazi and this horrible hellscape captain that everybody keeps calling him, what better opportunity than for Ben Shapiro to get on stage in front of a massive American audience and discuss it? I mean, if Nick Fuentes is a bona fide racist that wants to undermine America, you would think Ben Shapiro could neutralize him in 15 minutes. And that would be the end of Nick. I think they should debate. Nothing gives you more momentum for your beliefs than a debate. We'll be back in the Stone Zone. My name's Ken Matthews. Thank you for your call, Roy. You brought up some good points.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With the all-new Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from good to excellent. Introducing the new Sleep Score on Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
In the Stone Zone, my name is Ken Matthews. You can find me at kenmatthewsmedia.com. I'm all over social media if you want to troll me or engage. Or if you want to email me directly, because I live in a van down by the river. I don't have a station email, so you can email me Ken at kenmatthewsmedia.com, and that goes right into the white van I have down by the river. I just gave it away. It's not, well, it's kind of a beige color. Anyway, very quickly, and I was just discussing this with our producer. I want to mention this before we go back to the phones. The wife of the astronaut that pleaded guilty to falsely alleging crime in space. I think it's a fabulous story, and it's a kind of story that, that's just the kind of story I like as a speaker. That's something that I would have like in my folder if I was talking to an audience. It's just a beautiful story. It's a former Air Force intelligence officer pleaded guilty last week to lying to law enforcement. She falsely accused her lesbian lover, who happens to be an astronaut, of illegally accessing her bank account from space. I mean, only in America, ladies and gentlemen. Lesbians in space. I don't know could that be a Netflix show, or is it I hope it's not a dirty movie, but Summer Heather Warden, 50, faces up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine It's the end of a year-long bitter legal dispute between Miss Warden, a decorated intelligence officer in the Air Force, and her lover, a West Point graduate and U.S. Army colonel who joined NASA in 2013. Miss Warden's allegations, which she made in 2019, was on the International Space Station. Colonel McLean was on the International Space Station, and she said, I think my lover, my ex-wife, is trying to hack my bank account from space. I'm sorry. I don't know why I think that's so funny. I mean, there's nothing funny about a lover's quarrel. But just, okay, I admit it. I wanted to say lesbians in space. Okay. All right. Good. Let's clear the air. All right. 800-848-9222. I'm Ken Matthews in for Roger Stone. Let's go to another caller. I think, is Mary in Connecticut? Let's go to Mary if she's still there in Connecticut.
I am.
Hello.
Love the show. Thank you so much for taking my call. I deeply appreciate it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I just wanted to know very quickly, you keep on talking about the midterm elections. How much trouble are the Republicans really in? Because
I think they're doing a good job covering it up, but I've seen internal polls and the bottom has fallen out of 30 and under. And it's kind of like a similar pattern to what happened in New York, 30 and under kind of, and the same thing happened in Jersey and Virginia. So, there's this awakening happening among young people. And the irony, here's the good part. The good part is, a lot of the younger people are becoming more nationalist in America first, but they're disgusted with both the Democrats and the Republicans for not doing that enough. For example, polls are showing a lot of Republican and Democrat young people do not want us in the Ukraine. They do not want us in the Middle East. And there's a lot of things that people are agreeing on, and they're deciding, hey, why don't we team up in the midterms and send a message to both the parties? That's what I'm hearing. Also, older people are frustrated because I don't think they are seeing the results of Trump's policies yet. And I understand that it's going to take a while. I understand you just can't come in and change the economy overnight.
So what should the Republicans do? Because you know as well as I do that if, God forbid, the Democrats win, it's just going to be Trump impeachment syndrome 2.5 million.
Oh, oh my God, it's going to be worse than that. It's going to be, it's going to be a freak show is what it's going to be. The first thing I would do, we need to get a grip on this America First thing. And there's so many rhinos. I hate the term rhino, but, there's so many people in the Republican Party that are not really putting America first, and Trump still has some snakes in his administration. I think we need to fight to defend free speech. We need to get off this, the Israel First campaign and just, let the chips fall where they may as far as people's opinions. As long as people are not breaking the law, it's people are, the Israel lobby has become obsessed with controlling the policies and the direction of some of our foreign policy. And I got to tell you, I'm outside of the bubble. I'm not in the media bubble. I'm not in the wealth bubble or the political bubble. And Republicans and Democrats cannot stand that. There is who in the heck does this guy think he is every time Trump talks to Bibi Netanyahu? And how the Republicans are missing that, I don't know. But that's the sentiment out here. I'm just being honest with you.
Very, very much. But then should we just let Israel go and just finish the job with Hamas? Just let him loose, man. I
don't know. I think there's layers to that. That's a whole different show. But the one thing that I have a problem with, I'll give you a good example. Zelensky just invested $500 million of his own money into a northwest Ukraine ski resort. So that's what's happening in the Ukraine war right now. The president, he's not running around, the Zelensky isn't running around in his T-shirt looking like he's a rebel and I need some more money from Nancy Pelosi. He's becoming a bigger billionaire while his people suffer and the Russians suffer. So I just think we need to get out of the Ukraine, and we have to, and one more thing. We need to get away from Venezuela too. That's another thing. So, I mean, I think if you're a drug boat and you're within our borders and you're within our, what is the sea thing? Is it 12 miles off our coast? If we can see you on radar then, and you've got drugs, then we should blow you up. But we shouldn't head over to the coast of Venezuela and start poking that bear. How many conflicts do we need, Mary, right?
Yes. I agree with you. 110%. You are the best, man.
Well, thank you. Well, that's very nice of you to say. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling. Have a super day. 800-848-9222. Ken Matthews in for Roger Stone. Congressional Republicans have banned Dan Crenshaw. Supposedly, this is just a rumor. I don't have confirmation on it. I'm calling. I have a couple people deeply embedded in the Pentagon. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I just know a few people that work on the Hill, and they can usually confirm or deny something for me, and I don't have a confirmation yet, but I heard that Congressman Dan Crenshaw, you know, the guy with the eye patch, Republican from Texas, he's been banned from international travel because he had quite the drunken episode. He was in Mexico, and I guess there was an altercation. And the video is absolutely delicious. I put it on my Twitter if you want to check it out. I don't think anybody was seriously hurt, but Dan's an interesting fighter as a drunk, because I think he's a former Navy SEAL, right? Yeah, he is. So I guess so that was his punishment. Congressional Republicans said, Dan, you ripped the place up, buddy, and you were toasted. Why don't you stay in America and do that for the next 3 months? So that's that. And then, as I mentioned at the top of the show tonight, Democrat Sheila McCormick charged with stealing $5 million in COVID aid funds. I'll tell you, that COVID aid scam, that just makes my head explode. It's right up there with the FEMA scams. And, you know, every time I see or hear of a scam like this, I think of a low-income elderly person who may have been injured or worked their whole life, and all they need is they need some help with their heat or with their food. And America is so willing to do that. But what American taxpayers are fed up with, I'll speak for myself, is the grifting and the scams and, you know, the $1 billion lost every year in this department and the $400 million unaccounted for in the Defense Department this year. That's what drives me crazy. Most Americans, regardless of what your political ideology is, if someone said, hey, there's a house burned down at the end of the street, can you help them? They need clothing. And, well, look at what we give. Look at what America gives to charity worldwide. I guess the issue I have is people at the very top taking your money and my money and deciding what they're going to do with it. Because if you look at the churches and the synagogues and the mosque and other entities across this country in their communities, when people are hurting, most of them step up. And in defense of our industry, when people are hurting in this country, big business does step up, and they do create foundations, and they do support hospitals where children can get care if they can't afford it. And then I see some scumbag in our government grifting millions of dollars. Millions. Some of that money was then illegally contributed to her 2021 congressional campaign, according to the DOJ. She's been under investigation for a year. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's so easy to scam in Washington because so many people are doing it. It's not like you're surrounded by a bunch of people that have the courage to say, hey, easy there. You're not going to get away with that, because so many people are grifting. They're thinking, well, if I call out Sheila, what if Sheila calls out me about, the time I did this or that? This is the whole point of getting people with morals and ethics into our government. And if you read the Founding Fathers throughout the writings of the Founding Fathers, whether it's letters of correspondence, whether it's books, whether it's documents, they're talking about this country, this Constitution, the Declaration. It was designed for a moral people, an ethical people, a Christian people, people that feared God and believed in God and respected fellow human beings. And what we have now is we have snakes. We have snakes and criminals because, again, the government is the greatest grift going. It used to be like, you can get a job here, get a job there, and kind of coast. The government is like super coasting. Now, not everybody. We're not talking about everybody. I know a lot of dedicated men and women, and it's the dedicated men and women that are holding this government together with chewing gum and rubber bands and a paperclip, if it was MacGyver, because he can do anything with a paperclip. But we have to pay attention to this stuff and continue to drain the swamp. And the swamp needs draining on both sides. I think I've made that painfully evident. And I've lost a few Republican friends over the years, but bummer. Bush, Biden, and former vice presidents honor Dick Cheney. I didn't even know his funeral was today in D.C. I didn't see anything online about it. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right spot. But anyway, political figures from across the aisle gathered Thursday to, pay their respects to Darth Vader. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That was just a meme that I saw. Sending off a key figure of the pre-MAGA Republican political party. Here's what I think is going through the late Dick Cheney's head right now. Whew. Thank God I didn't get prosecuted. That's just what I'm thinking. That's just what I'm thinking. By the way, President Trump and J.D. Vance were not invited, nor did they attend the service, which is also very interesting. 800-848-9222, the Stone Zone. I'm in for Roger Stone. My name's Ken Matthews. Great talking with you. We'll be right back.
The Stone Zone. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I like how Trump says, not everybody. Not everybody. Okay, let's go to the phones here. I'm trying to find out who is the, I don't know if they're still on the phone. Is the person on the phone that wanted about the meeting tomorrow with Mamdani, are they still on the phone? Okay, Jack, that's right. Jack, welcome to the Stone Zone. You had a thought about the President Trump Mamdani meeting?
I did. I just was wondering how you think he's going to square it up, especially given what you mentioned about the American taxpayer willing to help people that are in need, which there certainly will be in New York, and Trump is from New York. But what do you think he should say? How should he guide the conversation? And how do you see the outcome with regards to finance and taxpayer funds towards New York?
Great question. Full disclosure, I've never lived in New York. I am from Jersey, so don't hold that against me. And I can't even imagine what Donald Trump has on his plate. However, I do believe Trump is still trying to be America first. And I think he needs to, and if I was President Trump, I would say this, nicely, but in private, off the record. I would say, look, you did get elected. You're the duly elected mayor. Congratulations. There have been things that may not have been getting attention in New York that you're passionate about. But if you violate the Constitution, we'll be visiting you. That's all. I mean, I would just say that. And I would also say that, I think that Trump likes to help people too, especially in New York. And that was a great point that you brought up, Jack, because Trump's a New Yorker. And I think this is an opportunity. I don't think it's an opportunity that we should say, okay, Mamdani, why don't you get all socialist? I think he should quietly take him aside and say, all right, you're in the driver's seat now. We'll help you legally, constitutionally. But if you start some, in New York, it's not going to end well, because we'll come in and help New York take New York back. But I don't think we should just bury the guy day one. Does that make sense? I don't know.
I agree completely. And I really hope that the media gives Trump some due if it works out that way. Because, my gosh, all the things that he has done, he still doesn't get anything, any recognition. It's always TDS. So maybe this will help towards that also.
But he is a great negotiator. And, whether it makes people uncomfortable or not, Mamdani won. And he won, legitimately. And that is a message. It's a message from Democrats. It's a message from different communities. It's a message from conservatives. So hopefully President Trump will see that as a bellwether, okay, things are changing a little. We don't have anybody under 30 that's locked into America first. This is an opportunity, I think, to support the administration of New York as long as it stays on the New Yorker America first track. I mean, what a great way to shore up the midterms, right? I think. Anyway, I really appreciate your call. That was a great question. I always wonder what it would be like to be in Trump's shoes. Solid gold shoes with solid gold curtains and a solid gold toilet in a solid gold plane. I would imagine it would be kind of heavy. Have a great evening, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Ken Matthews in for Mr. Roger Stone. All the best to you. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?